So many Magneto statues on the market, so many that have sat on this table. You gotta wonder, can they come up with new concepts? Mr. X, why would you buy another one? Does this one have something the other ones don't? Notice it's dark in here. Hey buddy, got a light? Whoa! As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the Extreme channel. Today we're looking at, yet again, another custom 1/4 scale Magneto statue. So I've owned quite a few Magneto statues. You've seen a lot of them on this table right here. Now, while I'm not an expert or the #1 Magneto statue collector, I already have some opinions about this one. Some things that I'm a little bit questioning and some things that are pure awesomeness. We're going to talk about those in Extreme Review today. Now, if you remember recently, I reviewed this custom Magneto statue, and I said it may be one of the best Magneto statues out there. I'm going to let you know right away, this one does not beat that one. It's kind of ironic, I said this is a custom. It means it was a private unlicensed commission. This is made by the same person that made the last one, and also that has made one of my other favorite Magneto statues, this one right here. That was one of the first videos I did on the YouTube channel. Now, those are the only ones I actually still own, with an exception of another one we'll talk about in a little bit. But if you're unfamiliar, Magneto is a Marvel character. He is generally a villain that faces off against the X-Men. However, in many storylines, he is a hero or an anti-hero. He has the power to control metal and metallic fields, and he is one of the most powerful mutants. Now, if you don't think controlling metal is that strong, if you have jeans or a belt on, he could kill you right now just by thinking about it. Or if there was any type of metal probably within 50 yards, he could do the same. But enough about him, let's jump right into the review, because there's a lot to talk about. And we're going to start with concept. Now, as I have said many times with Magneto, with concept you want to show his power. And really there's two big aspects to his power. Number one is his levitation or flying ability, that, just for the record, he can't actually fly. He usually has a metallic belt. That's what this piece right here is, that he controls the metal in it, which makes him fly. Here they don't do it. Now, other statues, they've done it. For example, this one that I still own right here, XM Studios White Magneto. That has one of the most cool flying effects I've ever seen. Now, other statues, to make him simulate flying, sometimes they have him kind of stepped up on one toe. They didn't even attempt to do that here. But they did show his other power. And in my opinion, they did it in one of the coolest ways I've seen in a Magneto statue. On the bottom, it's totally made up of metal. It's not only made up of metal, but the metal has been torn, it's rising upward, that clearly he's doing that with his power. In the middle, some of the light up feature you're going to see, which is part of the design, you have what I would say is the metallic field. Now, technically in real life, if mutants were real, you probably wouldn't even see this, but let's face it, it makes him and the statue look much cooler. So you see some demolished metallic pieces. Some of them are flying off his cape, giving you the insinuation they're flying. You see the classic Magneto costume here, the red and the purple. And as you move up, he's bent over and kind of in this lunge of anger and power. You can see him kind of bringing up the metal from underneath him. You see your typical Magneto anatomy, which we're going to look at during paint and sculpt. His cape is being pushed back, assumably by some of this metallic field that's everywhere, and he looks pissed. Now, there are a number of switch out options we're going to look at, but all of them really show that power, and some of them have this anger, like this one right here. I love the concept. It very much does remind me of someone who kind of pioneered it, was this scamming company right here. So this was a Magneto statue that initially showed him kind of raising the metal pieces around him. I had mine painted black. This was a custom as well. But I think they took that and they took it to the level 10, plus adding that aura effect, and I really, really like it. Now, they didn't give any of the flying effect, which I think is a little bit of a miss. So for those reasons, I think it's a 4 out of 5 on the concept of this piece. Now, design. There's some stuff I really, really question, and some stuff that I think is just straight out awesome. Before we look at that stuff, let's look at the unboxing and assembly. As expected, a custom Magneto had a giant box. So what else is new? Tiny little art box on the lid, and your standard custom black foam and straps. Now, it had a COA with it because there is no sticker on the bottom. You'll see that during assembly. Here is layer number 1. A lot of parts. Mostly the base. And then layer number 2 had the actual base, Magneto, and 6 heads. Yes, 6 different heads.
Previously on Xmen.
As you saw with customs, you don't really get directions, so you have to figure things out. Now, some of the pieces I put on, like this piece right here, I believe it was actually broken in the box, but glue fixed it, no big deal. Some of these other pieces were kind of difficult to get in. I almost had to shave down some of the keys, and some of the other ones are still pretty loose. So I think that's a little bit of a QC issue, a little bit of a miss, which normally isn't a big deal, but this was a very expensive statue. I'll tell you how much in value, so stay tuned for that. Now, as I said, there are a bunch of portrait options. Let's look at those. So your first right here, he doesn't have a helmet on, and he has what I would call a grumpy face. Not a fan of this one. This is one of the only ones you can see his pupils in. However, he has the grumpy face with the helmet on. Now, I love the fact that the helmet is battle damage, and we'll look closer at the battle damage during the paint and sculpt section. Another one here, unhelmeted. And he is baring his teeth, and his eyes have a blue-white coating over them, which insinuates he's using his power. Now this one, there's some paint issues on the eyes. It's pretty sloppy. But the hair is flowing back very Jim Lee-like. And of course, you can get this one with a helmet on. Now the last one shows him screaming. So screaming in anger, screaming in rage. His hair is also being pushed to the back. And then they have this with the helmet on, right here. Now the cool thing about this, it actually has a battery-operated light-up feature for the eyes. Now also, with the portraits, there's a little bit of controversy on, are the heads overscaled? So what I did is I started taking pictures of all the different heads on here from different angles to kind of see what's going on. Now, my initial thoughts were absolutely it's overscaled. And my final conclusion is that it is as well, but I don't think it's as bad as some people are saying. So first of all, you got to look at the different factors. Number one, I think the head is overscaled by about 5%. And it's very evident when you look from the side for a few different reasons. Reason number one is he's hunched over. So that very much gives more of an illusion that the head is overscaled. Second, he has a pretty skinny neck. So I think they should have thickened the neck a little bit more. Also, his helmet is not overscaled, but it's a big helmet. So when you look at the helmeted portraits on it, it makes it appear even bigger. Probably makes it appear 10 to 15% overscaled. Now, one important thing, when you look at it from the front, which is how I plan to display it, because I don't display my statues from the side, it looks fine. So in conclusion, I think the head's 5% overscaled, maybe a little 10%, but you really can't tell, and there's some other factors that almost make the illusion it's even more than that. Now, another awesome thing you saw in the intro has an amazing light-up feature. So they shipped a power pack for it that doesn't have the power bank, the power battery inside, because you're not supposed to ship lithium things through customs, but this is a custom statue, which, technically they could seize. And whenever customs has ever opened any of my statues, they've broken them every single time. So why not just put the batteries in there? Because now you have to order one. I'm sure they're cheap off Amazon. But however, the end effect is worth it. It's pretty cool. Look at the light up feature. All right, so really quick to give you perspective on this light up feature. It is pretty intense. Now the video, of course, takes away the true aspect of it, but it looks amazing. And as we talked about at the beginning, this is almost what makes this statue. So pretty impressed by that. but there are some issues with how it's powered. So I'm easily going to say that's the best light up feature I've seen in Magneto Statue. However, the accessibility of it isn't that easy. This plate comes off, and then you have to manually turn it on. Remotes. When we're spending this much on a statue, give us a remote. So overall, with the design, I'm a little bit torn. It's somewhere between a strong 3 and a weak 4, simply for the fact I really didn't talk about the fact that it makes it look like the metal pieces are floating everywhere. That's pretty cool. So I think let's give it a strong 4 for the final score for design. Now, paint and sculpt, this isn't as good as some of the other ones. This is factory painted. The last one was professionally painted. Actually, the other 2 red Magnetos I have are professionally painted. That are both from this same group. But let's take a look. So I wanted to start off with the head. Since the heads are so similar, we'll look at the 3 different ones. So first, the hair I think is fantastic. I like the curly nature of it, very Jim Lee-like, and the shades of black that are mixed in there. Now with this one right too, this is where he's kind of gritting his teeth. He looks fantastic. In the helmeted version of this, which I put back in the box because this one's going back in the box, I have a little paint black issue, so it's like Mrs. X said, he has a cavity. Eyebrows, not as defined as they usually are, but it's kind of that bushy, like I said, Jim Lee style. The paint's really good on this one. The helmeted version of this, there's also some paint issues with the eyes, but otherwise it looks really good. I am a fan of this portrait. There's just, I guess I might keep this one out. I'm kind of double thinking things right now because it's not my favorite, but probably my 3rd favorite. Then we'll go to the one on here. First, like I said, the battle damage on this is fantastic. I probably could figure out how to remove this helmet and put it on one of the other ones. It would probably significantly decrease the value, but I love that battle damage. I wish they would have made the helmets interchangeable. As far as his portrait, like I said, this is kind of the grumpy one. Not really a huge fan. Overall, all the skin tones are a slight shade darker than I think they should be. The sculpt or the stubble is painted in, I think. I think it's not sculpted, but even look at the detail in the eye. That's really well done, and then great clean paint around the eyes. So I'm not a fan of the way the portrait looks. And then the last portrait here, the screaming one. Again, fantastic work inside the mouth with the teeth and the gums. And then the wrinkles around the evil expression. The whited out eyes, where the first one we looked at was more of a blue highlight. All right, so let's check the rest of them out, starting with this metal. So they went really heavy on the orange and yellow, and I think it's too much in my opinion. It's just kind of all over the place. It does contrast well with the purple, absolutely. And the sculpt of it is nice. I like how it's different metallic pieces. They're bent in different directions. You see some screws and rivets. I see the siding right here. But I think they could have mixed up the color of the metal a little bit more. They did on the pieces near Magneto. You see some green and lighter colors in there, or some blue right up here. So the sculpt is good. The paint, I'm not a fan. It's probably kind of the weakest part. Then you have almost like this jet engine turbine over here. Again, I think the colors should have been mixed up. This almost looks like an old jet. I would have preferred if like he had destroyed something new. Shows his power a little bit more, but a lot of those weird color choices. And even on this dish back here. So first of all, you're never gonna see this, but just kind of an interesting choice. So I'd say the paint's okay on that. It's probably the weakest part of the statue. Now with this translucent resin to show the ore or magnetic field effect, the inside looks awesome. I love the color they chose. It's a good contrast to purple. These spikes coming out don't quite match, which I wish they would have. Maybe they didn't make them as translucent simply for the fact that you would have some breakage issues. I'm not sure. Now in Magneto, in typical fashion, they went very bulky, which they almost always do. So he's not extremely roided out, but he has 0% body fat, which it fits the pose of the statue well, and the sculpt's done amazing, but I just don't know if I personally dig it. And for some reason on statues, you can always see the veins underneath the suit. And not always, but a good majority of the time. And that's whether it's Magneto or another character, it's licensed custom. So I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of that. Your classic colors, and they have the, obviously the red on the suit with some of the folds. It's pretty skin tight, but you do see that black shading in between the muscles. His purple gauntlets and gloves look great. Fantastic sculpt as always by Franco. Same thing with the boots. Some good shading in there. The paint's really clean on this. So they did a really nice job. The metallic purple belt to help them fly. I think the shine on that is perfect. I think it's a little bit more on the top, or it could just be that the light's hitting it better. It's a little bit more than I would have wanted, but still looks pretty damn good. Then what's interesting is the color of the cape. It's kind of a different blue than I'm used to. So I've seen some purple, obviously. You've seen some red recently that Carlos did on my last one. And you don't see as much shading as you typically do. And there's something about the cape that's just a little bit off to me that looks more like a, it doesn't look like a cape. It looks like a piece of plastic. And that's just viewing it from certain angles from behind. From the front, it looks great. Except the flow of it does a lot for this statue to really add to that entire effect. The helmet, as we looked a little bit at earlier, I like a gloss helmet on my Magneto, so that's fantastic. But overall, you know, it's done really well. I'm nitpicking quite a bit on this statue due to the price, which we'll talk about. But it's a showstopper. All right, so honestly, let's start with the sculpt. It doesn't wow me, and maybe that's because I just keep getting so many Magneto statues by the same group, sculpted by the same guy, but it's still very good. I would definitely give it a 4 out of 5. However, I feel like I have seen better. Now with the paint, I'm not digging the direction of the paint, how it's all orange and yellow like we talked about on the bottom. It looks good from afar, but when I'm looking at it up close, I'm just not feeling it as much. It's like, is he only manipulating rusted stuff? So I think the paint is a weak 4 out of 5. So this is my way of not giving half scores, otherwise it'd probably be a 3.5. Maybe I'm just spoiled because my other Magnetos are professionally painted. But one of the reasons I have such an issue is because of the value on this piece. This was a very expensive piece. And I think one of the reasons they made it so expensive is because quite a few of its predecessors, like I said, this is the 5th or 6th Magneto from this sculptor from this group, all flipped for outrageous amounts of money. But this came in at 1,400 euros, which is about 1,800 US dollars, without shipping. Corona shipping made this like $400 Corona shipping economy. So you're like $2,200 plus all into this 1/4 scale statue that's not professionally painted. That is a lot. They made 75 too, so it's not like it's rare, like 30, 40 pieces. Now, I think normally you could get $2,200 for this statue, but some of those other ones they've made, and some other groups they made, or even like XM Studios' Magneto on Throne, those are other great options as well in that price range. And I think some of those are better than this. So I think that at best, it's a 3 out of 5 on the value. And I'm almost tempted to say it's a 2 out of 5. But I think if I was patient, I could get my money back. So does that mean this doesn't have the X factor? There's better Magneto statues out there. You know, I like that they did some stuff that hasn't been done, or they did it differently or took it to the next level. I like how this one shows the levitating metal like I've never seen before. Solid sculpt, solid paint. The light up feature is damn cool. I think it still gives it the X factor. I still think that this is impressive. I like the rage of Magneto. I think it's more so than any of the other statues. So that I really, really dig. But what do you guys think? Is this a badass statue? What would you rank it 1 through 5? You know, honestly, I think I would love this statue more if it was like $700, $800 cheaper. But that was a lot of money to spend on it, and maybe that's souring me a little bit. But nonetheless, I still do love him. I appreciate this piece. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. So again, drop that comment below. It also really helps the channel. Drop me a like on the way out. I really appreciate that. That helps. And if you like stuff like this, hit that picture of me. You can subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys very soon. Take care.